What is the most intimate non-sex thing you do with your partner? He likes to call me different nicknames, one of them being Peach. So, whenever he wants to cuddle, he says Peach time, and we cuddle, and just lay there together. It's honestly one of my favorite things in the world. I scratch his back and head. He was telling me how his mom would scratch his back, and it is a very intimate thing for him. His grandma would scratch his head until he fell asleep. Ever since he told me that, I've been trying my best to stay awake long enough that he falls asleep from head scratches too, as he has trouble falling asleep. Last night I finally held out long enough. I could hear his breathing change and his body relax, and felt him fall asleep under my hand, and I don't know why, but I was the happiest in the world because I could do something for him like that, someone I really care about. He told me I was amazing, and I just melted. I hope to do it more often. Edit. Thank you to everyone who replied. Many of these responses brought a smile to my face, and I wish I could respond to everyone. It makes me so happy to see that others enjoy this feeling as well, be it delivered through giving scritches or receiving. I hope those who wish for this kind of affection have it one day. My boyfriend swims nearly every day and the chlorine dries the crap out of his skin, so I spend a few minutes every day lotioning his back and ass so they don't get ashy. This is mostly non-sexual, but sometimes I pretend I'm a dude and the lotion is my nut, with crazy humping and dirty talk. He doesn't like it when the turntables. When he wraps himself around me tightly while cuddling/spooning and calls it maximum security. If I'm feeling sad, he'll tease me and be like, "Or does someone need maximum security?" It's very sweet. My boyfriend draws, and sometimes he draws me naked. Granted, it's a prelude to sex sometimes, but not all the time. It's super intimate, watching him quietly concentrate and do his work while sort of examining parts of me. I used to be super self-conscious, so just laying there and being out in the open is sort of freeing, and IDK just feels close. My grandfather painted my grandmother nude, and apparently my dad found it when he was a kid and drew a bikini over her privates. They were so mad at him. I think the most intimate thing happened during my second son's birth a few months ago. I had given birth quickly and easily, but then began hemorrhaging. They stood me up to go to the bathroom and blood began pooling down my legs and feet. Immediately back in bed, giving me shots and meds to try to stop it, but it wouldn't. The nurses were scared and a team ran in. My husband laid the baby down and held my hand. I was terrified I was dying and leaving them. I just kept looking into his eyes and telling him I was so scared, and he stayed calm and smiled and reassured me. I'm so lucky they found a piece of retained placenta and were able to give me a second epidural and manually remove it. But I ended up losing almost 800 milliliters of blood. I really thought those could be my last moments, and I just locked eyes with him, trying to communicate everything I needed him to know about our family and my sons, but too scared to say any of it out loud. It was the most intimate moment of my life. Taking care of me when I was sick. We've been together for about a year and don't live together. I had to cancel plans because I had a stomach bug, diarrhea and throwing up, and he came over and took care of me. Any man that can witness his girl sitting on the toilet and head in a trash can and still want to cuddle you and love on you is a keeper. Sometimes people say they would die for each other, but what people really need is someone who would help you off the toilet and cuddle you afterwards. Talk. Just literally open my mouth and let the most random, uncensored stream of consciousness it pour out, oftentimes working through things or saying things out loud to process them, and I never, rarely, feel like I'm being judged. I don't recall a time in my life that felt so comfortable and safe and loved in a relationship. That level of trust translates to so many other aspects of a relationship, and it is both scary and exhilarating. I do this too. I had to explain to him why I sometimes start out saying one thing and do a complete flip by the end of a long run-on sentence. He now remains seated until the ride has come to a full stop. He never does this, so it was super odd to him. There's always a few moments before we fall asleep where we'll just lay together, making eye contact. That may sound strange, but it always feels super intimate, and in a way that nothing needs to be said out loud. You're just sharing this moment, and know that there's nowhere else you'd rather be. Of everything listed here, I think staring at each other is when I feel the deepest connection. I remember a time when someone would do that, and I would look away or question their intentions. But with her, I feel this warmth and exchange. No words. Just a visual intake. We haven't hit the hour mark, but we will sometimes just stare wondering and appreciating. He goes to bed much later than I do, but he puts me to bed every night. I lay my head on his chest and play with his beard while he rubs my head. Then I will usually tell him I need some skin, and I will untuck his shirt and put my hand up inside under his shirt and rub his chest/play with his chest hair as he rubs my head until I fall asleep. It is my favorite time of the day, by far. Let him see some of my OCD rituals that I don't let anyone else see. I don't suffer from compulsions anymore, thanks CBT, but I have obsessional thoughts that get extremely dark. I've never shared with anyone but him. I just blurt them out as I'm thinking them, and we will either make light-hearted jokes about them, or if I have increased anxiety I'll ask for a hug. I've never felt judged by him, and it's the most open I've been with anyone. When we first started dating, and I told him I have OCD, he read Turtles all the way down to better understand it. He cried at the thought of anyone having to live with OCD. My partner died 10 months ago. Reading this warms my heart. We shared many of the same things you're all describing. Cuddling, being sick together, being in hospital, being able to say/do the weirdest things without repercussions, sharing our tears, grooming each other. I think one of my favorite things was that we had a whole little language no one else understood. Little mannerisms and abbreviations and gestures that were only funny or meaningful to us. We could also just tell what the other was thinking after 13 years of knowing each other. I could tell he was thirsty just by the way he looked around the room. We walked into a busy cafe once, and he immediately knew I wanted to leave, so we could find somewhere quieter. My partner was also an Afghanistan veteran. I feel privileged to have loved and supported him through that experience. It was a big part of his life. I cherish all that. These intimate things are the things your special relationships are made of. I have really severe chronic depression that intensifies during the winter months. Sometimes I have days where I'll spiral into this black hole of fear and hopelessness, and my lover will just hold me as tight as he can and tell me how much he loves me and how it'll be okay. It helps more than I can express, and it's so comforting to know that he's seen me in such a vulnerable state and still continues to love me the same. To me, it's more intimate than any sexual act could be. I recently started helping my SO trim his beard. It felt really intimate. I'm African, he's Middle Eastern. It took me a while, but I eventually let him help with taking out my cornrows when I change hairstyles and helping me wash/condition my hair. That's pretty intimate to me. As an African woman, I love this. I remember the first time I wore my satin sleep cap in front of my partner. The only people that ever see me wrap my hair and put my cap is my family, so it felt really intimate doing it in front of him. He's white/Hispanic, so I was worried about the cultural differences, but he enjoys that stuff. He'll help me figure out hairstyles and always compliments me when I try something new. He does complain about how my hair gets everywhere lol. I'm not a woman, but I like this question. Showering. It turns sexual like 40% of the time, but it always involves goofing off and talking. Switching sides for hot water is always cumbersome and it's just two goofballs. Sometimes I play foot or hand and put either on her butt and have her guess. I love this. We turn the lights off and shower and it's so funny not being able to see. It rarely is sexual for us either. My husband always likes to sneak a glass of cold water in and pour it on me. I usually can tell when he has one, so I just dump it on him. What came to mind first was actually non-physical intimacy. I trust him with all my passwords and bank info, and, honestly, at some point or another, we've told each other our SSN/SINs for paperwork or something. He's the same at me. We just are a cohesive unit of I trust you, you trust me. Can you check my email for me to see if my mom emailed me back at all times? It's intimate for me to have that trust be mutual. Good thing I married him. When we wake up, After sharing a bed together, we take a few moments to just be and enjoy each other. We'll snuggle in closer, nuzzle into each other's necks, and give each other so many kisses. And sometimes we'll just lay there and tell each other about the dreams we had while staring into each other's eyes. When one of us has class or work, we set an alarm that's half an hour earlier than necessary, just to start the day off like this. I can tell you what it used to be before our divorce. Whatever we did that day, be it adventuring or swimming, or just hanging out, our evenings always ended on our big red couch. I would be on the far right side, against the arm, because I liked getting into the corner. She liked having room to stretch out, so she got the middle and left side. I'd throw our rolled fleece over the both of us and put something on the TV. Sometimes we'd watch, sometimes we would chat and sorta watch, but it always ended with her breathing slowing down while falling asleep with her head on my left shoulder. It was a comforting thing for her in terms of physical position and closeness, feeling safe. It was a comforting thing for me to know I had someone who wanted to be close to me and was still comfortable. The first time I sat down on that red couch after she moved out in my usual spot was out of reflex. A handful of seconds went by. I realized I could never sit there again and feel good about myself or my life. The coldness of the leather, the emptiness of the space was too much. I got up and rearranged the furniture on the spot once I stopped sobbing like an infant. Not sure if y'all can tell, but I miss her. Anyway, that's what it was.